Cory, any way you slice it, this number is huge. But what really jumped out to you?
Yeah, so, the sales growth that you mentioned of 27% is really remarkable. When you look in the context of the reacceleration of sales growth. So they've sold iPhones for a long time. They've sold iPads for a long time, and that's not going so well. The Macs, of course, forever. But you had a single-digit growth company for quite a while there, and then the iPhone 6 just exploding sales growth, 30% the first quarter it's out, 27% the second quarter is out. You mentioned a profit growth. You can look at EBIT profit, you look at gross margins, whatever, but just fantastic profit generation from this company. Again, re-accelerating with these new products.
So, Cory, what is it that, I can't help but dwell on the fact that Apple shares are down almost 2%, even though, as we noted, whether or not you want to play the estimates game, the company had an incredibly strong quarter and blew away just about every.
Are you still complaining about the estimates game?
I'm going to
the one person who's on our team, Cory.
Let's complain about the estimates today. I mean, this is silliness about sort of beating expectations. All this. This is one of the most incredible quarters that any company has ever delivered, ever. It's a reacceleration of what was already one of the biggest businesses ever created, ever, really fast. I mean, the numbers that they put out last night are stunning in every possible way, whether you want to talk about the businesses that grew, whether you want to talk about a way that they took their iPad business, which is struggling, it's significantly struggling, but they're cannibalizing themselves with their iPhone 6 Pluses, the way that all of their little business units are working. Heck, their Beats audio business, which they don't separately break out, but they put into accessories, that business is reaccelerated at a fantastic rate. But I think that when you look across all the things, it's really the gross margin number that really bodes well. Because when you look at all the businesses that they're in, they're taking huge profits. They're not only getting significant market share in certain businesses, but they're taking most of the profits in the business. So their gross margin business is now over 41%, or under 41%, 40.8%, possibly to be aided by the watches, which looks like they're going to have fantastic margins in the subsequent quarters. So just a really powerful quarter from these guys.
So Cory, what is it then, if there is something investors are concerned about, and they are concerned because after this extraordinary quarter where, Apple paid them an even higher dividend, the stock is down, what is it that's worrying them? The fact that it's becoming a one-product company? iPad sales aren't doing so hot. Obviously, the Mac is a tiny share of the company's business
Then the analysts need to come to my house.
Phones, and nobody expects watches, right, to kill it, at least yet, in the first generation.
Right. I think Stephanie just announced a party at her house for all the analysts covering Apple. So let me posit this.
I was going to say my house is like an iPad factory.
Well, look, I would say that this might be what traders are doing, not what investors are doing. Okay, but that aside, the price of this stock compared to a lot of others in the market, this is a reaccelerating growth story. You mentioned the iPad business, and the iPad business is a problem for them. It's not growing like it used to. While the ASPs, the average selling price, increased a little bit, you've now seen 5 straight quarters of declines in the iPad business, and a big one this time, 23% year over year on a quarter that was down a year ago. But, Eric, you mentioned the Mac business. First of all, about depending on the iPhone. So they are depending on the iPhone more than ever before. It's well over 60% of sales. It's never been a bigger piece of the company as it is right now. But the Macintosh is kind of held in at about 12% as the rest of the company has gotten big. So think about the new Macs that hit during the current quarter that weren't in the last quarter. You've seen 6 quarters of accelerating growth of the Macintosh in a time when the rest of the PC industry is completely face-planting. They did 10% year-over-year growth. Dell would kill to get 5%. HP would do horrible things to good people for 3% growth. These guys are going at 10% and probably have half of all the profits in the industry. So they're really, really hitting on all cylinders, I think.
All right, Cory, thank you so much for joining us. Our own Cory Johnson.